The Jewish people are peace-loving people. We are here, we're trying to survive. This is an existential war. We didn't want to fight it. We didn't want to go to war. They started it, but we're going to finish it.
We're in Jerusalem and we have a meeting at the Israeli Foreign Ministry's office, and we're going to be learning a little bit more about what's going on here in Israel with the conflict in Gaza in the north with Hezbollah. We are here with a delegation of evangelicals from the United States with the national religious broadcasters, and we are going to try to figure out exactly what's going on here so we can bring you the story accurately. We just had a wonderful meeting with the Foreign Affairs Press Office, and Alex, the deputy spokesperson for the department, was sharing with us like what's happening here in Israel, what's happening in the world media and the press. And Americans aren't hearing the correct story often. The story should be about the 128 human beings that are still being held hostage in Gaza. The story usually isn't that. It's about the humanitarian crisis. What they're also not saying is that Hamas is controlling the humanitarian aid. Even as the United States is bringing aid ashore on the new pier, it's being taken, it's being stolen. So yes, I think Israel, of course, wants to make sure that those that are innocent are cared for and protected, but their hands are tied. They have to get these hostages. And I think that the American press and the world press isn't telling the correct story here. The story should be about these hostages, these children, these women that are being held. Even as we got a new release of video of the young women that were kidnapped, and it appeared here this morning on the Israeli media, he was saying that that's a 2-hour video, and that this is Hamas video that shows the brutality and shows what they've done, and we have to accept it. We have to know what that is. Very informative meeting here, and I'm glad that we were able to take that opportunity. We are at the Hadassah hospital here in Jerusalem, and we're going to be able to get a tour of some of the people that have been affected by what's happening in Gaza, and I think this will be very sobering but very important for all of us to see.
So you're among the first Israeli just opened in January. Wow. And they pushed the opening really fast because we needed it. And you'll see how amazing it is.
Wow.
And we'll tell you the rest inside because we're shouting. So come on along. That day found us all in great surprise. We thought it was a mistake when you heard the siren first. You know, somebody actually, here was a holiday, we were all dressed, ready to go to synagogue, and it took us by surprise. It did. It took us by surprise, civilians and soldiers. And on that day, so what do? Well, you know, I had my own challenges that day, but the head of this hospital said, what are we going to do? How are we going to cope? What happens if the hospital is bombed? There were sirens here. And what happens, the big question here, if the north, same thing is going to happen in the north. So we're going to have, God forbid, thousands of casualties. We could have them here in Jerusalem. God forbid, God forbid. Now I want to introduce you to the God forbid hospital that was created in 14 days for all those eventualities.
Okay, so as Barbara said, this place was on the 7th of October when things started to happen. There was a decision to open an emergency hospital, and as Barbara said, it's also God forbid hospital, because as you see, everything is quiet here. You have nothing, you have no patients, you have no doctors. This is just ready for any coincidence that a big war will happen, something from the north or with Iran, and then we will need much more space for wounded soldiers or civilians. At the 7th of October, there was nothing here. Okay, you see, this is a parking lot. You can see the lines.
I wonder if I could just add
Sure.
on that. You see that everything was, so the country was frozen in some ways, because the factories workers, many people went to the army. People didn't know what to do. Where were these beds being made? They were being made in the south, Sderot, and that was under fire. So people, the maintenance people from here who could do it, went down to help to make the beds. There simply weren't enough beds, and we needed those beds. We had to think about it. So I sometimes think that as a country we were prepared, but we very quickly got prepared, and in Hadassah we were prepared. So this hospital isn't on the front line, but it is the front line of medicine. So that we have to, here we also have the experts in orthopedics, in vascular surgery, worldwide experts, so that our soldiers who aren't that far away, it's not as if they have to be, as the American soldiers had to be flown to Germany for expert care. You remember, no one here is old enough to remember Vietnam, but I am, and they used to have to fly them far. But here we're talking about under an hour flight at most, and here you can get world-class medicine, and it's made an enormous difference.
So are you covering chemical warfare here too?
Everything is ready and not used still, and you have everything that you need.
It's really amazing. You see the ingenuity of the Israelis, but also the real fear and the real possibility of horrible things happening. It's evident here in Jerusalem.
A nice story that I have about this or the pool. This one was donated by a Mexican family. There's a Mexican citizen, and they knew that they are donating for a pool. They didn't know exactly how it's going to look and what's going to be. And when they arrived here, they saw it and they say, "Oh, we didn't know it's going to be so big. They thought it's going to be something very small that they're going to use," and they were very happy and proud of that. This is a very, very good tool for the soldiers, to regain their powers and come back to life. You see also music. We have this environment here, so it's something that contributes a lot to our treatment with here.
We've just been meeting with a young man who was in the Israeli army, went into Gaza, was trying to rescue his buddy who had been shot, and he was shot in the hip. He's in here in the Hadassah hospital getting rehab. Originally, they told him that he wouldn't walk, that he wouldn't have the use of his legs, and he's gotten almost everything back except for the right foot. Inspiring story, but a lot of the things that he said about what's really happening in Gaza is a lot different than what's in the news. Floyd, former deputy mayor of Jerusalem, what a beautiful place this is, and it's great to meet you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for being here. I always say, only friends come in the middle of a war.
Well, it doesn't seem like in the middle of a war, at least where we are, but there's always a threat right here in Israel and in Jerusalem. And what do you need to tell Americans about what really is going on here?
Well, what's really going on is a civilizational battle between the forces of good represented by democratic, peace-loving Judeo-Christian countries and very dangerous Islamic jihadi fundamentalism that wants to take the world back 500 years, where nobody has any rights, and where they really dream that the whole world will become one huge caliphate. And they are represented by the heads of that is Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran, and Hamas, who attacked Israel brutally on the 7th of October, killing thousands of people, taking hostages as young as a year old, and the worst atrocities against the Jews since the Holocaust, all under the same ideology that any infidels, who are essentially people who don't believe in the Islamic teachings have to be destroyed or forcibly converted. And this is not just Israel's problem. We're just the first line of defense. It'll come everywhere. And so the free world really needs us to win this war and should do everything in their power to help us get rid of this terrible cancer that we have right on our border.
How accurate are the media reports about the conflict, the situation, what's happening in Gaza? I don't think they're accurate at all. That's why we're here. But what is your assessment of the media?
The media is inherently biased. They have been portraying for decades Israel as a foreign colonizer in a strange land, because the people of Israel, of course, can't be from the land of Israel. How did we come to that conclusion? And that's really not the case. We are not just the indigenous people of this land because we were created in this land. It's where the whole story of the Bible takes place. But we've also tried to make peace with the Palestinians, and their leadership have rejected a two-state solution 5 times. Any Arab country that has wanted to make peace with Israel has gotten peace with Israel. Starting with Jordan, Egypt, Jordan, and recently under the Trump administration, the Abraham Accords, and even Saudi Arabia. And so that is really my message, that the Jewish people are peace-loving people. We are here, we're trying to survive. This is an existential war. We didn't want to fight it. We didn't want to go to war. They started it, but we're going to finish it.
I agree with everything you said. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are at Magan David Adam. This is the organization in Israel that helps with medical services and ambulances. And I think they're going to try to take our blood. But actually, I've never donated blood. I'm a little embarrassed by that. Today might be the day. And what a great place to give your blood to Israel. All right, so we got through the paperwork. It's actually kind of hard to give blood here because, well, probably anywhere, because you have to fill out all the forms. But it's now time. I got through all of the filters. Not nervous, but I haven't ever given blood to donate. I've obviously had blood tests, but what a cool experience this should be. We'll see. Well, I gave blood here in Israel, and I feel good about it. I don't feel faint. I don't know what blood type I have. That's something I probably should know. But what an honor to come to Israel. What an honor it is to leave that important life source in Israel. And they need help. They need people to support Israel. You say, how can I help Israel? You might not be able to come here and give blood, but you can stand up for the Jewish people. You can stand up for Israel and push back against the blood libels that are being put against the Jews. For centuries they have. They've been lied about. So correct that. Jesus is Jewish. Let's stand up for the Jewish people. Let me bring you some of my reflections for our first day here on this NRB press trip and solidarity tour of Israel. It's been several months since I've been here. October 7th is still happening here in Israel. We still sense the pain in the soul of the Israelis. And that's why I feel like it's so important for us to come to Israel. If you can't come to Israel, support Israel. You say, how do I do that? Well, you can post on social media pro-Israel truth. The media is getting it wrong. People are getting it wrong on social media, on TikTok. You might not believe in TikTok, but go set up an account and start posting pro-Israel stuff. Talk about the hostages. Talk about the real issue here. Let people in the world know that Israel, they aren't the aggressors. They are always on defense. They're defending themselves. Just like in the day of Esther, they were defending themselves. They weren't the aggressors. They're not the aggressors. They are peace-loving. They want peace. They desire it. But every time they are attacked. And Hamas's ideology, and it's written out to eliminate the Jewish people. Israel's accused of genocide when they are doing everything they can to limit the casualties. When we were talking to the press secretary today, the deputy press secretary for the Foreign Affairs Press Office, he said that they halved the number of casualties
the official Hamas numbers. Half them. How could you get it that wrong? Well, we've suspected that they've gotten the casualties numbers wrong, but that brings it way down. And I think even that number is inflated. Yes, people have died, innocent people have died, but it's not Israel's fault. It's Hamas's fault for putting their citizens, their brothers and sisters in harm's way by every place that there is a home. Every room in that home has weapons, according to the soldier that we heard from today. I don't know if we couldn't have put him on. He was sensitive and he didn't want his story to be filmed, and we didn't. But he said everywhere he went in Gaza, every room of every house, they had weapons. Even in a backpack, they opened up the backpack and there were weapons. And this is the truth. He was also surprised by the opulence of some of the homes in Gaza. Not to say every place was opulent, but there were many that were. And so we have this false narrative out there about the Palestinians, and I'm glad that we were able to hear from Hadassah Hospital and from the Foreign Minister's Office and from an ambassador to Bahrain who had dinner with us at the end of the day. What a wonderful experience that was, to hear from him about incredible relations with Arab nations. That is groundbreaking. And even after what happened with Hamas on October 7th, the friendships are still in place. And although he had to leave Bahrain, he's excited about going back soon. And let's look at those things as very positive things, and that there could be peace achieved even after the Hamas attacks. And I'm hoping that Saudi Arabia will also normalize relations with Israel. So we have all of these things happening. What an amazing day to give blood. My first time to donate blood. All of these things happened today, to see the wonderful work of the Magen David Adam group, where they're on the front lines and they're rescuing people, and they had many die. We heard from them, all their stories today. It was an amazing day, a full day, but we are so thankful that we can bring these reports to you, and I hope that you're being blessed. Would you consider making a donation to InGrace to help us continue to spread the message, to support Israel, to combat anti-Semitism, to combat anti-Zionism? Why should we be pro-Israel? Well, as a believer, they're the ones that brought me my Messiah, Yeshua, Jesus. They brought us the scriptures. The authors of the Bible are Jewish. The kings and the priests and the prophets are all Jewish. We owe everything to the Jewish people, and if you read Romans 9 through 11, God isn't finished with the Jewish people as a nation. And so for these reasons, we need to stand and support Israel. And if you don't believe in the Bible, still stand for Israel. Why? Because they are the front lines against terrorism. They're coming for us in America, and Israel helps protect us. So remember all of that and help those groups that are trying to get these positive messages out, these true messages out. And if you want to support InGrace, we appreciate that. Many of you support us monthly as a partner. That's wonderful. We appreciate all of you. So may God bless you from Jerusalem, the city of God, the city of gold. I hope one day you can travel to Israel with us. We have a tour coming up in February. It's a solidarity tour and a tour of this amazing land. We're coming no matter what, and maybe you'll be interested in coming. Go to ingrace.tv to find out more information about all of the resources that we have, the Israel videos. You can donate there at ingrace.tv. And you can also, while you're there, check out our trip to Israel in February of 2025. God bless all of you, and I hope your rest of your day is absolutely wonderful.